The devil's advocates whisper in the hall, where justice wears a mask and truth begins to fall. Every thread they pull, every lie they weave, in the courtroom's dance, who's left to believe? Oh, the devil's in the details, hiding in plain sight, innocent until the gavel steals the light. True crime echoes through the hollow night, fighting injustice with no end. The devil's in the details, hiding in plain sight, innocent until the gavel steals the light. True crime echoes through the hollow night, fighting injustice with no end in sight. A photograph fades where the truth once stood. Blurred lines between the bad and the good. The scales they tilt with every silver tongue, while the broken cry for a song unsung. Black robes sway like shadows on the wall. One wrong word and the mighty fall. Who's a sinner? Who's a saint? The jury's out, but the verdict's faint. Oh, the devil's in the details, hiding in plain sight, innocent until the gavel steals the light. True crime echoes through the hollow night, fighting injustice with no end. The devil's in the details, hiding in plain sight, innocent until the gavel steals the light. True crime echoes through the hollow night, fighting injustice with no end in sight.
All right, everybody. It is a Saturday night edition of the Crimes After Dark show for the Devil's Advocates, and I have a panel backstage, not next door, backstage. The wife's next door, but the panel's backstage. Hopefully everybody can hear me. I'm pretty sure everybody's waving at me at the backstage so they can hear me. That's great. I've got the routine down that when I say, I'm not sure you guys can hear me, everybody starts waving like a motherfucker backstage. But thank you all for letting me know that you're back there. We've got a full panel tonight, so looking forward to tonight's show. I don't have a script for these shows most times, and this is no exception tonight, but I did spend quite a bit of time today with the forensics document that was released and some of the details that came out about the crime based on the forensics report. And even though the pictures are redacted and you can't see most of the pictures, it did tell a tale. I know that some people like Dago and stuff like that have been talking about it all day long, and I just got to look at it a little bit today. And so we're going to talk about that as a panel and what I saw, and you guys can talk. If you guys have seen it yourself, you can provide your input. If you haven't seen it, you can just follow my lead, whatever the case may be. Let's bring our panelists up on stage in the order that they're backstage. Dago, you're first. What's up?
Forget about it. What's going on? How are we doing tonight?
I'm excited, and I'm excited to have you and your crew joining us. So let's do this. What the hell was that?
Something.
I just came out of my chair there.
My apologies.
No worries. I thought that was some kind of special.
I don't know what they're doing in the living room out that way. I think they're playing a game.
It's all good. So it's good to see you. It's I know that you talked today about the same document I think that I'm going to cover today. I was lamenting to people
a little bit,
all day that I can't keep up with this case. Like no matter what comes out, somebody's already read it and done a 12-hour live on it already, and I'm behind the scenes. And I feel, in some regards, I feel defeated because I can't even get started before everybody's already covered and made opinions. But
you don't feel bad because I had Bronx as a guest today. Bronx Tales, Logan from Bronx Tales, and she read it through. I didn't know. There's a couple things I knew from hearing other people talk about it, and I got to scan like a little bit. That's all I knew. I don't know anything else about what's in those documents, so don't feel bad.
Well, I'll share the things that I've learned, and I could be wrong about it. I've got things to talk about as well. Let me get the rest of the panel up, and we'll and then we'll talk about that as well. Because I think, again, because one tends to read us a little monologue and get us kind of warmed up. I think I'll bring him in last, just because that way we don't have to interrupt the flow and come back to it again. So, Robin, how are you doing tonight?
Hello, I'm doing well, thank you. How about you, gentlemen?
You have that cat perched behind you half the time. It's hilarious.
He's a camera hog. He photobombs me all the time. Like,
Looks
I
like
don't know
was
what
gonna-
it is. He just senses the love
That you're
from
on
the
camera.
audience. I don't know.
I was going to say, is it a normal thing for him to be up there only when you're on camera? Probably
Yeah,
only when you're on camera, right?
no, he gets up here a lot when I'm on camera. I don't know what it is. Somehow I don't know if he likes the voices, like you guys'
Yeah.
voices,
Oh,
and
maybe.
I don't know. He just
You know what's funny about that, guys? I've had more than one person tell me that their animals have gotten used to my voice, and when I'm on, their
Yep.
animals will actually pay attention and stuff like that. I think that's weird. Like they're
My
like,
dog
yeah, my
does that
dogs know your
too.
I
voice.
think
My
that's
cats
what
know your
it
voice.
is.
My dog's
It's
the
kinda-
same way with you. He knows people's voices now, and he comes walking
Yeah.
through looking for it's funny. It's weird.
It is weird. It's you wonder what's going through their minds when that kind of happens. But anyways, good to see you. Another night in the den, as we call our denizens. We started out trying to find a way to call our community, because I noticed that other communities all had nicknames, and we said we need a nickname, so we called ourselves the Devil's Den. Which then somebody said denizens one night, and it kind of stuck. We're like, that's kind of a cool name. We're the denizens. So we became the denizens. And you got the meatballs, and we got all these different nicknames. Everybody's got these, the Hive over in Birdie's show. We've got all these different names for our communities, and I think it's kind of cool. It just gives us a sense of identity for our people, and makes us feel a little bit more connected. So I love that kind of stuff. And Joe is taking a sacrifice today to join us. I understand you're missing something, right?
Yeah, well, hopefully I'm not totally missing it. As I said backstage, the first UFC card on Paramount Plus is tonight, right now. It's starting right now. And I'm a committed member of the team. And so I would rather be here with you guys and the denizens and the meatballs and the mods for my Saturday night.
I love that. I mean, it's hard for me, like I said, if it isn't a playoff game like the Seahawks are doing tomorrow night, I try not to avoid the show, but I do try to not have my games spoiled, and I wouldn't want my fights spoiled. By the way, I'm curious, because we talked a little bit about this before, Joe. I used to be a big UFC fan, and then they had a title fight like every 2 months, and it was pay-per-view, and you had to pay like $80. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I can't keep up with the UFC.
I stopped.
Towards...
I used to follow it really
Yeah.
closely. I had a blog. I had a UFC blog that I did for a while, and a website, and I was writing every week about MMA and the UFC, and then it just got to be ridiculous, man. The pay-per-view prices just kept going up, and I just thought, I'm like, this is bullshit. I'm not going to spend $80 for a pay-per-view. And then where I live, no bars get the fights. There's not a single bar where I live that gets the fights, because there's not enough people here.
They priced the bars out of it too, right?
Right, because the bars have to pay a lot of money based on their capacity to get those. So anyway, I to go all the way to Denver to watch cards is just not practical. So
I just saw Robin Hayukin, her cat, like Hayukin. She just threw the cat across the room. She just lost her mind with the cat.
Sorry, I didn't want him to puke on my head. He's having a hairball, so I'll be back, guys.
So what is going to, I know that this is a true crime show and we're going too heavy on UFC, but is the move to Paramount going to mean we're going to be able to watch UFC fights now on a regular basis without paying $80 every 2 months to watch a title fight? Or
well, supposedly, I checked earlier today, and there was no extra charge listed for the UFC fight. Now,
nice.
Whether that's going to change once they get you roped in, and they get people roped in to subscribe, they might give a few for just the base cost and then start tacking on up charges. I wouldn't be surprised, because they paid over $7 billion to the UFC to get access to their whole catalog and to all their fights.
Wow.
So I'll be surprised if they keep it at a flat rate, but hey, if they do, that's great. I'll start watching it again.
Yeah, for me too. I'd love to start watching it again. And again, I know we're a true crime thing. We got to get back to it, but hopefully they fix that, because I think they priced out the average guy. I know that's when I quit when I couldn't keep up with it. And so if they, it's a catch-22. It's all about finding that sweet spot of where enough people will watch and they can charge you the most they can while keeping the most people engaged. So we'll get some stuff off of Dago's face. There you go. See, you're still there. I got you. Anyways, let's get one up. And one can also say his greetings and read us in, and we'll get started as a team for the night. What's up?
Good to be alive.
You disappeared, sir. Where'd you go? There he is.
I used my vampire powers.
Yeah, it's a vampire. Vampire powers. Yeah.
Oh, you got.
How is everyone doing? Hi, Dago, JJ, Robin.
What's up, buddy?
Good night, Jackson, Juliana, and my wife. Love you guys.
Good to see you, man. Good to see you.
All right. It's after midnight, not the dramatic kind, the quiet kind. The hour when the world feels honest, because there's no one left awake to lie to it. College towns aren't supposed to feel like this. They're supposed to hum, to breathe, to stay loud enough that nothing truly terrible can slip through unnoticed. But on one street in Moscow, Idaho, silence did exactly that. 4 lives ended before sunrise. A house stood still, and the rest of the world woke up to a story that still refuses to sit right. This is Devil's Advocates, and tonight, we're not here to repeat headlines. We're here to sit in the spaces between them. Because the Idaho 4 case isn't just about what happened. It's about timing that feels off by minutes, details that arrive late, answers that sound complete until you listen a little longer, a timeline that looks clean on paper, but messy when you trace it hour by hour, a narrative that explains enough to move forward, but not enough to stop looking back. We're told the evidence speaks for itself, but evidence doesn't speak. People speak for it. And sometimes what they leave out is louder than what they say. Tonight, we slow everything down. We examine the moments everyone rushes past. We question what's considered settled and ask why certain questions never seem to make it into the room. Not to provoke outrage, not to chase conspiracy, but because justice deserves pressure and truth rarely survives without it. This isn't about taking sides. It's about refusing to confuse certainty with understanding. So we play devil's advocate. We test assumptions. We challenge timelines. We look at the case from angles most people would rather avoid. Lower the lights, let the silence breathe, stay uncomfortable. Because when a story leaves this many loose ends, the worst thing you can do is stop pulling. This is Devil's Advocates, and tonight, we don't accept a story just because it was told. And with that, live from New York, it's Saturday night.
Excellent. Well, it's good to be here on a Saturday night, whether we're in New York or on the West Coast or in Australia or UK or South Africa or all the places all around the world that we have people watching. I still feel like I'm working with this stupid lisp because I've got a tooth missing on one side of my face, and I got to get that sucker fixed because it's changing my speech habits. I sound like I'm hammered every time I get on the microphone, and it's just a matter of just every once in a while my tongue goes into the hole of my. That's just too young all the time. I don't know what the hell's going on with that. But.
You might want to rephrase what you just said.
Yep.
That's all I'm saying, buddy.
Whatever it was, I know I'm embarrassed. I don't even know what I said. I said something wrong.
That's it. That's it. Show's over.
It's Saturday
Hey,
night.
Saturday night. Anything
Okay, well,
goes at this point.
Yeah, I guess I'm turning red. I have no idea. Oh, Amanda's like, that's going to be clipped. What the fuck did I say?
We're creating a gag reel for the end of the year, folks. So get
Oh,
get
yeah.
ready. It's gonna be
This is
good.
one of the rare ones where I don't even know what I said. I have no clue what I just said. So
We'll
that's
tell you after
amazing.
this.
Oh my God, Lee.
Look,
I'm
I
gonna
said
call
I,
a fucking ambulance for myself here in a minute.
all right, look, this is horrible. This is not a way that I normally would like to start
Oh,
the
that
show.
was great. That was great.
Okay, well, I'm glad that we can have fun on a Saturday night. So here's the deal. I want to ask you a few things. Before we get into, again, fuck this Idaho 4 case. There are other cases in the world. There are other cases in the world, and all we talk about every night, it seems like, is Idaho 4. However, I just got told by my wife, by the way, that if somebody that she knows who started watching my show said, I only watch his show if he talks about Idaho 4. And I'm thinking, well, then what fucking night do you not listen to me? Because that's all we talk about is Idaho 4. But we really should talk about something else. By the way, also, real quick, we got flagged again last night for inappropriate content, and I had to appeal again every single night. Whoever out there is flagging us every single night, it would be great if you stop it, but apparently you're not going to. So I guess be a toddler. I don't know. We're gonna fight it every
Why is it
single
not
night.
happening to me then? Because I don't get hit by it at all.
I think somebody's got it out for our channel and they're flagging me every single night. So every single night, and hopefully hopefully we'll get the reviewers will get tired of one person constantly or whoever. And sometimes it's a campaign, so maybe we got a campaign. Whatever the case may be, I guess it's a sign of respect. Thank you for thinking that we're so important that you want to single-handedly take down the channel. I appreciate.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
they're giving you views too, so thank you for the views.
Yeah.
right. Thank you for the views as well. So, I wanted to talk about. Did you guys happen to see? And I hope I get this right, that I think it was on the Gonzalez's family page that Steve's starting to engage people in the chat and basically fighting with us and calling us a bunch of idiots on the chat that we don't read and listen properly and whatever. And Jack DeCour is completely innocent and you guys need to leave him alone. And so you did see this. The biggest question I have was a comment that Steve made about how we're all idiots talking about the 17-minute phone call because that phone call was the day before the murders, not the night of the murders. All this time, have people been talking about the so-called 17-minute call and been wrong about the entire day that happened? And how did we not catch that?
Well, why did law enforcement put it out then as that's when it happened?
Yeah, that's what I want to know. Like,
why did that happen if that's not true? And why didn't he correct that a long time ago?
Right. So, there's several things that there's several problems I have. One, people aren't going to like this, but I'm going to do it anyways. One, in a way, good for Steve engaging the audience, and so now we're having a discussion, right? So now he's actually debating with people. So maybe that's a good step. But maybe rather than calling everybody a bunch of names because we think you got something wrong, acknowledge that everyone in America has questions and it could just be resolved if you guys would just fucking start talking to people. But instead of doing this name calling shit all the time, which is doing nobody good. So on the one hand, I commend the family for being maybe more open and trying to get a dialogue started. And they're talking about now maybe going on social media channels and talking about it. Good. That's a step in the right direction.
Yeah.
We all have questions. Yeah. But maybe don't shit on everybody because they don't come to the same conclusions you do, and let people ask those questions.
Or maybe acknowledge that everybody out here that you're calling names that you're basically taking a hot heaping shit on are all people that are here only because, and I swear only and mean only because we want to see your child get absolute justice for what has happened to her in your family. So again.
Right.
Well, you know, Steve G has always come across to me from day one as sort of like more conservative or libertarian.
Yeah.
So if people don't believe the official story, it's not his concern to try to change people's minds.
Yeah.
That's not the way life is and the world works. Yeah. He knows what he knows and he's directly connected to it. And and anybody would understand that. But that doesn't give people the right to try to silence other people. Don't listen. If you don't like what people are saying, then don't listen. Why would you want to silence people? Yes. Is it because it threatens the lawsuit, the WSU lawsuit? if the official story is not accurate? I mean, is it all about money? I mean,
Yeah.
if
Well,
I've
sadly, it
been,
makes you wonder, Joe, because what other option do we have to see it in other than what you just said there? Truly,
yeah, I mean, if I have my beliefs about Koberger, and that nothing has changed my belief as of yet on what I
Right.
think his relationship to this whole thing was. But I could be wrong, and that's fine. If it's proven that I'm wrong and I enough to convince me, then I'll
Right.
change my
Right.
point of view. But it has not as of yet. And so I'm going to question things that don't make sense to me, whether
Hmm.
it bothers other people or not.
and I've said the same thing even on my panel because I usually leave a link pinned at the top of my chat. I've said, Steve, which I know he won't, Steve and or Olivia or Christy or anybody for that matter that would want to. My panel is open to many, many people. And if you believe that what we're saying or what we think is wrong, then please, please, I'm telling you, please feel free.
Yeah.
Come up here and tell me the truth. Let me know what I'm doing, what I'm seeing wrong, or explain to me why I'm seeing it wrong at the very least. And I would love, I've always said that. I have, just like Joe, my own feelings about Brian Koberger. If you have something different that would make me see the light, I guess as you would put it, then please come and show it to me. I want to know truly and honestly. I want to know what that is so that I can see what you're seeing because I don't understand it at this point.
And
Yeah,
I
and
want to
TA, I just want to add
Yeah,
one thing
go
to
ahead.
that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anybody who's watched and listened to anything I've ever said, the one thing that pisses me off more than anything at all is when people come on and try to silence other people. If you have a beef with what somebody has to say, then let your argument change their mind or present your argument in a productive and in a compelling way. Telling people,
Right.
crying about what people say because you disagree, you don't like what they're saying, is, with me, it's the worst thing anybody can do.
Amen.
Yeah.
That's
And
Yeah. Well,
and
it's like don't say it. Show it. Show
yeah.
us.
And
Show us the proof, and I can. Any of us will change our opinion. Show me the proof.
yeah. So real quick, thank you, by the way, for the donation here, that we're all awesome critical thinkers and much appreciated. I appreciate that as very much as well. I do want to reiterate something Dago said. And again, like Dago said, they're not going to take us up on this offer, I don't believe. But let me offer this as well. I want the truth. And if anyone in the families, if any of the families want to come on, I will promise you this. We'll do it in any style you want, meaning if you want a live audience, we'll do it a live audience. But I would suggest a one-on-one. I will be extremely respectful. You will not get shit. I do have no intention of trying to be, yeah, and Dago the same way. I know that's gonna be the case. I will give you a one-on-one thing, and we will ask questions respectfully, and we will, and I'll give you the opportunity to say anything you want to say to a group of people who are critical and willing to listen to the argument. And it won't be a shit show. You won't have to fight. You won't have to get upset. We'll do it low key. So the offer's out there, and I know Dago would be the same way.
Hell, we could even do it together, Lee, if that's what
Yeah.
they would want. We can get together and do it with them together. Same damn way, guys, but all nothing but, I want to stress this again. I know he did. Absolute respect given, period. End of story.
100%. Yeah, and that's why I would recommend, if they ever were willing to do it, that we don't do it live, so they don't have to read the chat, which the chat, we can't control the chat too much. I mean, the mods can shut it down, of course, but better so if we did it private. But again, I don't suspect they're going to take it up on that, but I just want to reiterate the same thing. Dago or I, or the two of us together, would be very, very respectful, and we would love to hear. And even if your conclusions are different than ours, we still would love to hear it from you in a respectful format. So I welcome you if you're willing to start opening that to do that.
Yeah, and I would respect your feelings, thoughts, opinions, everything you think. I will show respect towards that. I may not agree, I may not believe that, but I will still show respect for that, as I always have.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about the forensic stuff that came out, because one of the things, this is a bridge between Steve Gonzalez talking about Jack and the forensic documents. One of the things that Steve said, if it was him in the chat, was Jack DeCour was still a suspect late in the game. So he was clarifying that Jack DeCour was still a suspect late in the game, but he was ruled out for 3 reasons. He listed, he was ruled out because of his DNA excluded him from the scene. That part I have a problem with, and that's why I would want to talk to Steve about that. How can you exclude Jack DeCour from a scene in which he's been in that house tons? His DNA is in that house. There's no way his DNA is not in that house. So how can you exclude someone by DNA when you know he was in the house?
That doesn't make sense,
right? But the other things you said is Jack DeCour was excluded because his cell phone and visually it's seen that he went to his house and never came back out. And again, that's not proof of dick. Now, at the end of the day, if there's other things that we don't know, but those 3 things don't add up. And again, I would want to be respectful. If there's more that you know that why we're all idiots, rather than say we're idiots, why would just let us know what the more of it is, so we can shut the hell up about it. Because I would love to shut the hell up about it. There's no part of me wants to accuse or even remotely suggest somebody was involved that wasn't involved. I want to exclude people at this point. It's the same thing I'm trying to do with Brent Kopacka. I want to stop talking about Brent Kopacka as a possibility by finding that smoking gun that says there's no fucking way he was involved, so I can stop talking about it. So until I can stop talking about it and asking the questions, give me something that makes it definitive, that's it. That end of story. Can't have done it. I would love that. I would love nothing more than that.
Amen. And I agree.
Exactly. That's all we're looking for, is something to put it to bed. And if it can't be, then don't get mad at people still asking the questions.
And I just wanted to say, for the record, I don't think Jack D was the person. I don't think he was the perpetrator. I just don't think for a lot of reasons. There's a lot of reasons why I don't feel strongly. And early on, I had considered that for obvious reasons. He's the ex-boyfriend, he's jilted, he's devastated, et cetera, et cetera. But I don't think that he is the perpetrator, in my opinion. So I think we've talked about a variety of different scenarios, and that one, just for me, logically, I can't connect the dots and make it make sense to me. Just for the record.
And I'll agree, Joe, with Joe. I've never thought Jack DeCour could be. I don't think he can commit that crime. I don't think physically he could do it. Do I think he may have more knowledge than what he does? Yeah, that is absolute something I've always thought. But do I think he hands-on went in that house and committed the crime? Absolutely not. No, I can't make myself believe that. Just like I can't believe Brian did it either. But I do believe that Jack DeCour really does know something, or a lot more possibly than what the world believes he does. Sorry.
And just because we're on it and everybody's sharing their feelings about Jack, let me speak about my own position. My position maintains, because I agree with you. On some level, I don't think Jack was capable of doing it. So I agree with you on that. But this statement is not contradictory to that. The first person you ever look at in a crime is the ex-husband, the ex-spouse, whatever. That's the first person you look at. He should have been suspect number 1. And apparently maybe he was, now that we see some documents, suspect number 1. So that's, and you really, really need to know that you can rule that person out, because that's suspect number 1. So that doesn't go away. And then second of all, there's bridge things that does it. Maybe Jack didn't do it, but knew it was going to happen. Maybe Jack didn't do it, but actually, covered up for it. But there's a lot of other ways in which right. Whether you guys are talking about whether physically he could have done it or not, I agree with you. Like, my gut tells me that's, the killer isn't Jack. That's not, my gut tells me that. But does that mean that there's no involvement whatsoever? That I don't know that you guys have convinced me, and I don't think you need to, that there's not an involvement somewhere. But that's just it. We're just asking for connections, right?
I read something today. I think it was on Reddit, I believe, maybe, where someone said emphatically that it was a robbery. Someone knew it was a drug house. People knew it was a drug house, and that they knew there was a party the night before, and that they knew there'd be, if it was actually a drug house, there'd be a lot of money in there. Now, I disagree with this theory for this simple reason that in that case, one person wouldn't have been brutally murdered way worse than the others, and it wouldn't imply just a robbery, right? You wouldn't have to carry out such an extreme crime for a robbery.
Bingo. Yeah.
And then if Dylan and Bethany were in the house at the time, if someone was robbing the house, they would have, unless they were really on the inside, they would have looked in all the rooms.
Yes.
Because right, unless
And you wouldn't use a knife, I wouldn't think either, Joe. Like that's the knife thing makes it a little bit more personal, in my opinion. Like if somebody went in to rob that house for drugs or money, they're gonna go in with a gun, bing bang boom, it's done, and they're out the door. They're not gonna waste all the time that they wasted actually physically going at each single person. And then there was quote unquote experimental post-mortem injuries. Like that's something different altogether, in my opinion. That's not just a robbery. So
there's like a torture element to this crime.
Now after looking up another thing, and I had messaged one about this on Discord, and I like to get feedback from people in the chat and on the panel as well. I really spent a lot of time looking at the light bulb images, and I have to play devil's advocate with myself because I had said I think it's Maddie in the opposite reflection. And after a lot of, hours looking, and you know how sometimes those pictures that have like two images that you could see it either way, but you have to like really stare at it.
Yeah.
Here's what I think. This is just a theory. I think you can see Maddie in that lower image, but it's the image of Kaylee is bleeding over into the image of Maddie because of the curvature of the light bulb and the light refraction. I did find in one or two of those pictures a separate, what looked like a body in a part of a body in a separate angle. And the image of Kaylee's face is kind of almost projected, blurring it a little bit. So after looking at it for a long time, I do think that I can see where Maddie is in that lower portion of that light bulb image.
Well, they did say in the documents that Kaylee is kind of resting a little bit on top of like Maddie's, I believe it's Maddie's like right side. So that makes sense. And Kaylee was close, right up kind of to the wall, but she was lying partially, like her left shoulder and stuff was kind of lying up over Maddie a little bit. So I mean that does make sense what you're saying. So
yeah, anyway, I had messaged one about it, and I wanted to mention that because I had originally thought it was only Kaylee's reflection in the lower left side of that light bulb image, but I'm starting to think that I see certain things that look like you can see Maddie a little bit too.
See, I have people telling me they don't see. I did what you did. I stared at it. I took a magnifier to it. I blew it up. I shrunk it down. I spun it around, flipped it out. But you know what I mean? I did everything I could with it. Yeah. And I see Kaylee, period. To the left side, I see what I think might be the photographer taking the picture. But there's people telling me they don't see Kaylee at all. They think it is somebody with forensics wearing the white Tyvek suit, so on and so forth. The face itself, guys, to me, looks just like Kaylee. I can't get away from that.
But JJ, I think it makes perfect sense what you said. I mean, what Robin is referring to, it's like number 5 here in the sheet. It says Madison and Kaylee are lying on their backs. Miss Goncalves is partially lying on top of the right arm, right shoulder, and upper torso of Miss Mogan. Obviously we can't see, it's blacked out, but so she's kind of lying over her. So
I want to share some kind of bombshells in a way that I found from the document, but I'm glad that we're a little ways into the show before I say this, and I'm trying to decide how to do this. One, what I want to talk about is graphic, but we're not going to show graphic images because there's no graphics images to show, so you don't have to worry about that. But it is going to get graphic if we do what I want to do. So I'm kind of getting a sniff chest from you guys. There's a couple of bombshells I want to discuss. One, the documented in writing, not in pictures, in writing, damage that happened to Kaylee versus the other victims, because that's a big discussion, right? People are saying, well, Kaylee got it worse than other people. I want to read to you, if you don't think it'll be too icky, to read to you the description of the wounds that are written down. Is that too icky, you think?
No.
You think it's okay?
No.
And then I want to talk to you about another big bombshell, which is what I said for a long time. Cross-contamination is going to tell you everything. Where does the blood flow? If the killing started on the 3rd floor, you should see blood then of those victims show up on the 2nd floor as it moved to the 2nd floor, or vice versa. Some of that was kind of documented in the document. So I want to talk about the blood flow as it looks in the scene. And then I want to talk about the bombshells of the fuckery with the renumbering of evidence tags, which really bugged the piss out of me. All right.
Thank you for bringing that up, sir.
Yeah. All right. So yeah, there's a bit of a trigger warning as we're going to talk about the graphic imageries. So long has been discussed. Kaylee got it worse than everybody else. Kaylee got her injuries were different. The points of damage, as Steve Gonzalez said, were different. And again, as a warning to the Gonzalez family and all the families, if for God's sake you're listening to true crime on us for some reason, which you shouldn't be, I would recommend you don't listen to us describe in detail things that you already know and you don't need to hear. All right. So for the rest of us, let's talk about the autopsies. So in this document I'm going to show on screen, remove this, add this, and share screen. All right. So this is from an exhibit on the forensics data. And oops, you're not seeing it because I haven't added it to screen. These autopsies are in reverse order. We're gonna get to Kaylee first, and then we're gonna get to Maddie, I think, and we're gonna get to Xana, and we're gonna get to Ethan. If you look at the timestamps in the document, the autopsies were done in the reverse order. So the first one we're gonna look at is Kaylee. She was done at 4:50 p.m. The other autopsies had already been done. She was the last one done. So we're gonna see her discussion first. But I want you to pay attention to some of the way it looks in writing. Kaylee Gonzalez's injuries. Cause of death, multiple sharp force injuries. Significant contributors to death were blunt force injuries to the head and asphyxial injuries. Now, asphyxial injuries, we talked about this a little backstage. Some people think that means that she was choked to death. It could simply mean that she was choking on her own blood. That would be consistent. It's a contributing factor to the multiple sharp force injuries. And again, if we didn't say so already, trigger warning on this kind of stuff. It is, and unfortunately, I had to keep the parental advisory up and put it right on top of Joe's face.
Thank you.
Yeah, but you know what? Your eyeballs are kind of looking over it. So there's that.
Yeah.
So listen, Kaylee received stab and incised wounds of the scalp, face, and neck over 24 times. Over 24 injuries to the face, scalp, and neck. 11 times incised wounds to the chest. 3 stab and incised wounds to the upper extremities. That could indicate defensive wounds like arms, hands, fighting back kind of thing. Punctures of the outer table of the skull, injuries to teeth and tongue, perforations of the subclavian artery and vein, which is in the neck, the hemorrhage into the chest cavity. Blunt force injuries include scalp laceration, bleeding around the brain, nasal fracture, which again, people said she was punched in the face, whatever, scrapes on the nose and cheeks, bruising around the eyes, patterned bruises extending across the lower face. Petechial hemorrhages were present in the eyes and mouth, and blood alcohol concentration of 0.107. So not real drunk, just barely over the legal limit for driving, right? Well, I guess it's 0.08 in Washington State, and I don't know what it is in
New York.
Idaho.
Same for us.
But anyways, so listen to the numbers, right? 24 plus stab wounds to the head and face, 11 to the chest, 3 to the upper extremities, and some other blunt force trauma. I want to compare this with Xana's. I'm going to jump down to Xana's. Xana Kernodle. Again, cause of death, multiple sharp force injuries, including abrasions and contusions to the head, torso, and extremities. Significant findings include stab and incised wounds to the scalp, face, and neck, 23. Stab wounds to the chest, 7. Stab wounds to the abdomen, 4. Incised and puncture wounds of the back, 3. Incised wounds, upper extremities, 25. Incised wounds of the lower extremities, 5. Punctures of the outer table of the skull, perforations of the jugular vein, heart, lung, pulmonary blood vessels, hemorrhaging of the chest cavity, wounds extending the bones of the right hand, scrapes, bruises to the face, torso, extremities, blood alcohol concentration of 0.229, significantly more alcohol, and amphetamine levels. But to me, the first thing that jumped out is, if I were to look at this on paper, Xana got it worse than Kaylee. If I were to look at it on paper, she's got about the same number of attacks to the head, but she's got a whole crap ton more to the stomach, the back, the upper body, the extremities. And yes, she was fighting back. As Kathy Mabbitt said, the coroner, she put up one hell of a fight. But it leads to the question. Steve was very adamant. Kaylee's wounds were different and more significant. We've heard online Kaylee's wounds were way more significant. Someone described it very, very graphically as basically like a deer hunting scene. And I'll let your mind run with that on its own. But the point being is, on paper, on paper, it looks like Xana got it worse. And maybe it's because Xana was fighting back. The other thing I noticed and I'm going to then let us talk about it before I move on. The other thing I noticed was Xana was the only one out of all the descriptions that they gave that had blood on her feet, indicating that she was erect and standing and walking in puddles of blood, and that she had struggled and she had rolled over and she got stabbed in the back, and there was a lot of struggle with her. Everybody else didn't have blood indicating that the flow pattern of the blood flowed down their legs to their feet or down their legs, suggesting every single one of them was laying in a bed when they were attacked and never got out of the bed. Unlike Xana, she was the only one that was erect on her feet. So I just wanted to get your thoughts, if you guys have seen all this and had thoughts about it.
I have a issue with that. If Kaylee never stood up, how was she stabbed in the back?
Well, Kaylee wasn't listed as stabbed in the back. It was Xana that was listed as stabbed in the back.
No, you just read it.
Yeah.
I thought you just read that Kaylee was
I
stabbed
think he was referring to Xana with that.
Xana had the back wounds.
God, I'm sorry.
And see,
Xana had the back wounds.
I made that mistake too, you guys. I thought because one of her injuries was listed to be as her severed liver, that I thought that it came from the back. Okay.
Yeah.
And I'm guessing at this point, no. And it's still, I still don't quite understand how some of the injuries were achieved if Kaylee was laying in that bed. But
I don't either.
The problem. Right. Here's the big problem, because looking at the bed itself and in the room, there's nowhere near enough blood to match up to what you're saying that these injuries match. Like, there doesn't at all. It's weird.
Another thing too, DA, in the pictures of Maddie's room, very clearly the bed has very distinct drag marks across the bed. Blood, not like heavy blood, but like a scraping of blood, as if like a body was either dragged onto the bed or dragged off the bed. But it looks to be like it could have been, if some of the theories that we have are correct, that they were not killed in their bed and they were placed there and staged there, that they were dragged onto the bed, or at least somebody was.
Yeah. So where you're right. I mean, I think all of us have questioned. It doesn't seem like there's enough blood in Kaylee Maddie's bed to account for what they say happened there. And so how do we deal with that? Like, you know, on the one hand, like, you know, I don't know. I don't know. I don't even know how to do it. We all agree the scene doesn't look right in the upstairs bedroom.
I mean, you can, if you want to. I mean, we know the blood on the beer pong table downstairs has Kaylee's blood alone, so there's no contamination there. There's no cross contamination. Right. So she definitely was attacked. She was fighting or attacked. She was attacked there, right?
There had to be some kind of.
There's a pooling. There's a pooling of blood at the bottom of the stairs. Now, they're saying there's no, there's no evidence of the, like, blood that went down, like, that shows that she was standing. But if she was killed on the second floor, that's where her demise was, whether in front of Dylan's room or at the bottom of the stairs. And then someone picked her up and brought her to the bed. That would, you still wouldn't see that.
Not even that one. Something's wrong with that altogether. If we're to believe Dylan's testimony, which is what they want us to believe, okay?
Right.
I'm understanding this. She said she heard Kaylee come running down the stairs screaming somebody's in the house. And then back in the back area by the bathroom crying, blah, 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 so on and so forth. Okay, that's fine. So you're going to tell me that Kaylee went back upstairs and laid down in bed and then she was attacked?
Right. Well,
Yeah.
Here, Dago, you help reminded me of another thing, and everybody knows this, but let's do it one more time. Dylan supposedly heard Kaylee singing and dancing, heard Kaylee crying, heard somebody whisper something like, "I'm here to help." But now we know for certain Xana got massive wounds, was standing erect, flailing around, had wounds back, neck, everywhere, and Dylan didn't hear any of that. Are you serious? Like, she heard Kaylee crying in the bathroom. Somebody whisper, "I'm here to help you." But Xana, who's right next to her on the wall, right beside her, and is all over the fucking place, she doesn't hear that shit.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
It's not even remotely believable.
And then,
what person in their right mind would even remotely believe that?
And then following her calls, her statement there of she heard Kaylee crying and running down, she doesn't call Kaylee first. That doesn't even make sense. Like, if you lived with people, right? Whatever, Joe, Fred, Dan, and your friend, you hear Joe, their voices, and Joe is screaming, and you think he got attacked. Wouldn't you call Joe? You wouldn't call Fred, right?
Yeah.
So why does Dylan call Xana? She doesn't call Kaylee first. It does. It's her. It makes no sense.
And why? And so I want to beat the hell out of this for a minute. If all that happened right next to her room, why did law enforcement not pressure harder how it could possibly be true? How can it possibly be true that this person was getting horrendously mutilated right next to you and fighting back and alive, and you heard none of that, but you heard somebody whisper, "It's okay, I'm here to help you."
Right.
Like, why didn't cops jump all over that? Like, that fucking makes no sense. You're lying about something. Cough it up. But no, instead what they tell her is, "Don't worry, you're going to be okay. You're going to be okay. We're not going to ask too many difficult questions."
She also made an exact word statement, word for word from a Vampire Diaries episode that was playing at some point.
Yeah.
Word for word. I played the damn episode and it was exact words, one by one, that was stated.
Yes.
So,
yeah.
So
she's,
that.
At best, for her case, what happened is she's conflating things in her mind, and she did hear that episode and she doesn't remember because she was too drunk or whatever. And maybe she's conflating something in her mind and she remembered something, but it's out of order. If that's the best you can do to try to give her the benefit of the doubt, is she's out of order on what she heard and what she, what she remembers. But
I'm going to tell you, I've been formulating versions in my mind of what I think happened now based on what we have. First, I'll talk about Kaylee. I believe that Kaylee and Maddie, definitely Kaylee, were attacked on the second floor, and then that tried to get away, and at some point ran upstairs, and then the killers basically attacked them further right at the door of their room. And then the struggle was happening partially in the room because there's blood specks on the walls and stuff in Kaylee and Maddie's room.
Right.
So some kind of stabbing or something happened in that room, or punching or whatever, that caused some blood spatter, which was on the walls.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that the really bad wounds may have been outside of the room. And so a lot of the blood, which would come out rapidly, especially with arterial bleed, was there, and that's where the partial cleanup that we heard about. There was a cleanup attempt happened for that, and so I think that Kaylee and Maddie, by all accounts, were staged in their beds and covered up,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Which does not, like to Dago's point, jive with them being attacked in their beds.
Not at all, right?
Because
No.
there would be blood all over the covers that are on top of them, and the only blood we see in the bed were some spots of blood on the sheets over the mattress.
Mm-hmm.
And so
I-
that would, to me, imply that they were placed in the bed after they had already bled a lot. And
So I don't know how you're going to feel about this. I don't know how you're going to feel about this, but one of the things that was repeatedly stated by the forensic specialist that said she processed the crime scene on the 17th, I believe it was, of November.
Mm-hmm.
She stated repeatedly, there is no evidence whatsoever that suggests that the individuals were killed outside of the room in which they were found. She repeats that over and over again. There is no evidence whatsoever that indicates that they were killed anywhere other than the room in which they were found. And she gives all these reasoning for saying, no flow patterns down the legs that indicate that they were ever erect or in a different position. So I'm not saying it didn't happen, but what I'm saying is what do we make of that? If it did happen, did the forensics specialist go along with the cover up and lie about it? Or was a cleanup done so well that the forensic specialist missed it and couldn't have seen it because it was cleaned up? Like, what is the answer between the forensic specialist emphatically saying there is no sign that the people ever left the room in which they were killed in?
That's kind of where I was getting ready to mention that.
Yeah.
We're taking what they're saying in the forensic reports. Is that because that's what they were told to say, or is that because that's the truth?
And there's one moment. I know I can see the wheels spinning in Joe's head. So there's one moment in which, I hope I get this right, people. I hope I get it right, where the forensic specialist, I think her name was Sutton, maybe, said on her first pass through the house, she said Xana's blood was on the ping pong table. And then later on, she amended her report and said, it is inconclusive on whose blood is on the ping pong table as swatch F. And then when they explained, why did you change your statement? She said, I was told Xana's blood was on a certain thing, and I thought that was the ping pong table, so I wrote it's Xana's blood on the ping. And I'm like, well, wait a minute. Are you fucking doing your forensic report on your own, or are you told where people's blood were and you're writing it? That was the one moment I'm like, what do you mean you were told it was Xana's blood, so you wrote it there, and then later on changed it when you found out it wasn't her blood? That was a bothersome moment for me.
You're told, bingo. Like I said, they were told.
Yeah.
And there was, if I'm correct, there was blood found of Xana's behind the bar cart, that gold thing there on the wall behind that. So is that true too, or is that not? I don't know what to believe or not believe. You know what I mean?
I don't either. So let me show you. Go ahead.
I just wanted to say, like, based on the body of evidence that we've seen and based on speculating, obviously, just like a profiler would do, you speculate based on a crime scene. We can't believe the information that in total that has been given, because if in fact there is a cover-up, like it seems that there is, that means things can be manipulated to appear a certain way. Let's just say that things are even darker than what we are imagining.
Sure.
Let's just speculate that, just for argument's sake, that somebody associated with law enforcement knew things about this crime before any investigation was done. They would have some sway into manipulating things. And in which case, the information, a lot of it could be tailored to fit a narrative. And when you're dealing with powerful forces, big money interests, and the university, who knows what information could have been manipulated? Now, I have a question for you guys. Outside of Maddie's room, there was right at the door, there was what is that? Amino black, I guess.
Yeah.
So do they put that down to try to get like find latent blood or things like that? Or
Yes.
what is that used
Yes.
for? Is that what it's
yeah.
for?
It's to reveal latent things you can't see with the eyes,
Blood,
and it's
yeah.
reactive to blood, and
Right.
Right. All I'm saying is the bed itself. Yes, there is some blood on the mattress. There are blood specks on the wall, but it's not indicative of what the injuries were that we were told. So they could have been killed right outside the room and there was bleeding that occurred, or they could have been killed on the second floor and they bled in certain areas, and those were the areas where a cleanup was attempted.
Yeah,
And
I see Lala's. We're gonna get to that, so hold tight. It's gonna be a little bit before we get to it. We're gonna get to the Kaylee's blood and Kaylee Maddie mixture. We're gonna get to that, so stay frosty. We're gonna get to that, but let me cover a couple of more bombshells I want to talk about. CODIS, male unknown B and D. So unknown male B was a spot of blood inside the house, kind of down on that second floor going to the first floor kind of thing. And unknown male D was on a glove outside in the parking lot. And many people have speculated, how is it that you know, for example, it's male blood, but you don't know who it belongs to and you call it unknown and you didn't enter it into CODIS?
Exactly.
The answer to those questions are in this document, and let me explain it the way that I can best explain it. Now, don't crucify me. I'm going to give you their explanation, because I think their explanation is bullshit in some regards. One, a presumptive test, meaning we're going to presume that it's blood and we're going to do a presumptive test on is it blood, will give them the markers on whether it's male or female. Like they'll get that marker saying, oh, it's got this spike that shows Y chromosomes and therefore it's male blood. That's how they knew it was male blood, because they did a presumptive test to see if it was blood.
Right.
They didn't enter it into CODIS, and this is where you might understand or lose your mind depending on your perspective. They said unknown male B blood was too far away from where the bodies were to be related to the crime, because the house was a party house and could have potentially biological material from anyone. The spot where the blood was at was too far away from the bodies to be reasonably assured to be part of the crime scene. And so they didn't enter it into CODIS. Now, why is this? What's the CODIS part mean? CODIS is a database for crime scenes and for criminals to be entered into. And there's rules about entering people into CODIS who aren't at a crime scene, because you don't want everybody's DNA being put into a database looking for criminals, because people would be concerned about their database or their DNA being put in a database for criminals if they're not a criminal. So CODIS has rules that doesn't allow you to enter things into the CODIS database unless it's directly related to a crime scene or a suspect of the crime scene. So what their argument was, because that blood was too far away from the crime scene, they were not allowed to enter it into CODIS, because CODIS is only for crime scenes and the blood was too far away. They said the same thing about the blood on the glove outside. The blood on is outside of the crime scene, because that's out in the parking lot. It's not the crime scene anymore. So therefore we can't enter it into CODIS. The law permits, or our rules permit it, or forbid us from entering that into the database, because it's not the crime scene. Now, I cry horseshit on multiple reasons. One, the reason why they say that other blood can't be part of the crime scene is because they tell you already, we know the killer came and went from the back door.
Right.
But what if he went down and went out the front door? So they're just already telling you, we know where the killer went. So therefore blood over there doesn't make sense. We're not going to look at it. It can't be the crime scene because the killer didn't go that way. You know what I'm saying? They're leading the question. What if the killer did go that way and you dismissed it because you assume you know where he went? That's the problem. Second of all, I don't know how a bloody glove out of the parking lot of a quadruple homicide or a pair of panties outside where 3 women were killed is not part of the crime scene to look at. So I think that's horseshit. And then further, before I let you guys talk, along the same lines, Nick Balance, when they were talking in this same document about the cell phone thing, put a 100-meter circle around the house and labeled it CS for crime scene.
Yep.
And then said any car that pings off a cell tower that went through that 100-meter circle entered the crime scene. So by his logic, thousands of people walked all over your crime scene because that 100-meter residence was a whole fucking neighborhood. So if you're going to say Brian Koberger was seen at the crime scene over and over again, which is what you did with that horseshit, saying he was at the crime scene over and over again, then thousands of people walked through your fucking crime scene because you put a 100-meter spot on the ground. And yet you're going to say the bloody glove out in the parking lot is not part of the crime scene, and the blood in the banister inside the house is not part of the crime scene, but 100 meters around the house is part of the crime scene. What do you guys think?
That's insane.
So,
That's
yeah,
absolutely
insane.
That's pure insanity, Lee. I'm sorry, but that makes zero sense.
There's a cover up happening. I mean, it's obvious. And, you know, you hear about, oh, there was a silver car parked outside the house at a certain time. And it's like, what are they covering up? Now, when I hear things, different parts of a case, I look at human nature, like human behavior. If Kaylee wasn't, or someone in the house was involved with a police officer, right? Then if that's true, then it would be fairly logical that that police officer might stop at that house, right? So they might be there. And so I said this before, is it possible that shit went down while police officers were there and they don't want their connection to that event, if they were there in a non-law enforcement capacity, to get out to the public, because it will open up scrutiny? Just if nothing else, maybe they didn't want it to get out that there was a CI there, and people would start asking questions. Why was there a cop at the house at this time of the night? Like, what would they be there for? Why were they there? So then, like, that would be a reason in and of itself for covering shit up.
Right.
Right. So I'm trying to look at, like, at human nature. You're a cop, you're involved with a woman who's a student. You know, it's probably not the thing that you want to get out, especially if you're married or whatever. And so there's a lot of things that could be explained by, like, let's just say, hypothetically, Rosie being there, because that's the rumor that he may have been involved with Kaylee. Well, that alone sets off a chain of events why people would want to cover that up. And so, in my opinion, I'm starting to have really much darker thoughts about this crime than I had before, and it's purely based on what I know about crimes that have happened and what I know about forensic psychology. Anybody, it's not like cops have never committed a crime.
Right.
It's not. Look at the Long Island serial killer cases. A lot of questions being raised there about law enforcement.
Golden State Killer.
Many examples. So
many examples. Yeah.
We can't be afraid to theorize things. It doesn't mean we're saying this person is guilty, but you have to look at all possibilities. Right. Because you just have to.
Part of critical thinking.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, it's if a police,
no matter how dark it is, Joe, like, that's a fact, guys. There's things that your mind will tell you, oh, we can't think that. That's not right. That's just not right.
Oh, people don't want to hear that. I better
not say
that. But the reality is, I mean, there's been many, this is, anybody can confirm this, instances of bad cops doing really fucking bad things.
Yes.
And jealousy, substances, all play a role. And in my opinion, there were drugs involved both directly in this case and indirectly.
Yeah.
So I think for a crime that violent to occur, in my opinion, it would have to be either very personal, either drugs were involved, people were high, or both, a combination of the two. for it to be as brutal as it is. So anyway, I'm just putting it out there because my mind is starting to go to things that have been sort of like taboo to talk about.
Yeah.
And, you know, anyway.
Right. Yeah.
We're gonna get to a few more bombshells, and then we can continue to banter this around for a while. I'm gonna give you a few more bombshells. One of which, by the way, I'm gonna tease something coming up in a moment because it's the biggest bombshell in my opinion, the biggest one. But there's a lot of talk in the forensics document by Sutton about diluted samples of blood. There's a lot of talk about diluted samples of blood, and she uses a wording that says Kaylee's basically what she says is Kaylee's saliva and or snot, right, mucus from the nose or mouth or spit from the mouth could have been the substance that diluted the blood sample. So she'll talk about how the blood sample's been diluted with another liquid which cannot be excluded as being saliva or mucus from the victim itself. So like if they had spit up or if it's a mouth injury or whatever, right? And so several times a lot of times she makes this sample was diluted and it cannot be excluded that the victim was the contributor of this other liquid. Later, you're going to find out officers diluted the samples on scene before Idaho came and processed the scene, and they were the ones that diluted the samples. And so when they called her on it, when the defense calls her and says, look, these samples are not diluted because of the victim's saliva and mucus, her response was, I didn't say it was. I said that it could have been. It's the typical, it's consistent with bullshit. The cops that diluted the samples.
It goes alongly with that same thing with that jacket that belonged to Dylan that Blaker found and realized that, oh, wait, I need to go dump amino black all over this and completely destroy it. All the evidence and any on it, it has to be destroyed now. So, yes, bullshit. It's so much bullshit. So I'm sorry to interrupt, but yes.
No, again, I'm kind of teasing ahead of time because I want people to realize there's a big shocker coming in the discussion. And this is going to take us a little bit to get through. I want to show on screen now.
I'll be right back, guys.
All right. I've said before, cross-contamination will tell us the answer to things like, did the killings start on the third floor or did they start on the second floor because of the cross-contamination between the scenes? So now comes a little bit of that evidence. This is a picture of the third floor, top where Maddie and Kaylee had been deceased. The room off to the left that you see open is actually Kaylee's room. That's not where the murders happened. They would happen around to the right in Maddie's room, allegedly. But look at all the staining marked here. Stain 41, stain O and N on this side of the wall coming down from the third floor. As well, we will look down here. There's another picture of 41 on the rail, another one of 41 on the rail, close up of 41 on the rail. And then there's blood on the inside, M and L. Coming down the staircase, there's J and E. We're going to see some more pictures. Now we're going down. So that was this part of the staircase. Now we're flipping down, going to the lowercase. There's another smear here called K. There's another, close-up of K. Then down, coming to Dylan's room, another stain there, J. They've got indicated, and so on. The moment that we're going to talk about right now, without going into all the details, is every single one of those samples is primarily Kaylee's blood, and sometimes Maddie's blood, no other person, no Xana, no Ethan. And so it starts to answer that question. What happened? Like, in other words, somebody didn't start killing Xana and Ethan and then go upstairs, or you would see blood marks of Xana and Ethan all over those walls going up there. But that's not what happened. Right. Everything is the other way around. Kaylee and Maddie's blood is on the walls coming down both sides of the staircase all the way down, indicating that Xana and Ethan weren't killed first. That would be my thought process so far. Are you with me so far? Like, we don't see any of Xana and Ethan's blood, according to the forensics person, upstairs. All of it is Kaylee and Maddie's coming down the stairs, and then a mixture of Kaylee and Maddie on the second floor where Ethan and Xana were killed. Does anybody question still the possibility that Xana and Ethan were killed first and then they went upstairs the same killer? Or do we feel like, I mean, how do you feel about
Well, if you have multiple killers,
right.
I mean, they could both, you have one or two people attacking Maddie and Kaylee, and you could have another 1 or 2 people who are attacking Ethan and Xana.
Yeah.
And it could both be going on. It doesn't necessarily mean that one happened and then the other. They could both have happened relatively close to each other too, or like at the same time.
Good point.
Now on the screen, I'm going to show you a few more things. We're going to start to move to that shocker. This is the ping pong table. So coming down the stairs, you've got this ping pong table. There was a stain on here, number 39, that allegedly is primarily Kaylee Gonzalez's blood on the table. There's stain F, which is a swipe stain right here. So there's 39 close up, and there's kind of like a very diluted. And they mentioned, the forensics person mentions this tipped over solo cup as a possible contributor of the liquid that may have diluted this sample. We're going to find out, I think later on, it was an officer that actually diluted that sample.
Surprise.
In addition, F, the swipe. This is the one, I believe, the forensics person, Sutton, said initially was Xana's blood that was swiped on the side here. Then she changed her report and said it's unknown. We don't know who contributed that. I said it was Xana.
Right.
I said it was Xana because I was told Xana's blood was on a table. I thought this was the table they were talking about, so I said it was Xana's when it's now unknown whose blood that was. I find it disturbing that somebody told you where Xana's blood was at and you wrote it into your report, but that's another thing. The shocker comes again. So let's continue on. So there's blood stains going. Now this is where it starts to get a little weird for me. This blood stain D is on the other side of the banister leading down to the ground floor. So this supposedly the assailant never went this way. The assailant went up and down from the second floor, out the back door from the second floor. It never came this way. We've got blood on the inside railing. So over on where if you can see my mouse, that's the hallway leading to Xana and Ethan's bedroom. Yes, I can see somebody could come out and drip something maybe on the other side of the wall and stick there. But what about, and that's where it would be. Like, did they touch it? Did they grab it with their hand as they were coming out of the room and transfer DNA? And by the way, that stain, E, where's E? Oh, that was one of this comment right here that I highlighted drove me nuts. This stain was not tested further. That one bothered me. Stain E, right there. They didn't even test that further to see whose blood it was. Are you fucking kidding me?
Surprise.
Right. But look at this. So again, where my mouse is at, this is the hallway leading to Ethan and Xana's room. This is the stair wall, the wall on the staircase leading down to the front door. There's blood way over on that wall, and over here on this side wall, in addition to the other side of this banister. All of that stuff they dismissed as any possibility of an assailant going down that way, concluded that one of the unknown male things couldn't have been that case because it's too far away from the crime scene. But the blood tests out to be like Maddie's and Kaylee's and different people on, and so they're saying it's spatter or cast off or whatever. Mm-hmm. The whole thing bothers the living piss out of me when you've got stains out here this far out. I don't know what to really make of all that. And I'm trying to get to the comment here. There's no physical evidence to indicate that Kaylee Gonzalez or Madison Mogan was in this location after sustaining their blood-related injury. So they're making the point that, yes, Maddie and Kaylee's blood are all over the wall leading down to the first floor, but there is, as they say, no physical evidence indicating that they were ever in those locations after they were bloodletting. Therefore, their indication is, and here's the problem, therefore, their indication, the killer has their blood all over his body and is tracking it all over the house. And yet he didn't take any of that blood into his car or to his house or anywhere else. He's dripping in blood and casting their blood all over the house as he walks through the house, but he doesn't carry any of that shit out of the crime scene, which fundamentally bothers me.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah.
I think personally there is weight to the fact that they may have been carried, from one location to another.
Yeah.
And the people that were carrying them got blood on their hands or gloves if they had gloves on. And then to stable themselves in the stairwell, they put their arms up and made quick contact and left those little prints on the wall in that kind of stairwell area. Because you ever walk down if you're carrying something down a stairwell and you have that wall that's in front of you, you know,
Yeah.
that's coming down.
Mhm.
Sometimes you have to, like, if you're carrying something, put your hand on
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
to steady yourself. So what else would explain blood getting on those areas and only in those isolated blotches? To me, that's a hand that has blood, or a
Yes.
glove that's got blood
Mhm.
on it, and you're carrying something. So you're steadying yourself as you're carrying it either up or down that stairwell. And that's what logically, that's where my mind goes.
It makes sense.
All right. So I'm trying to find the best reading for you to get this, but here's what I want you to capture from this next bombshell discussion. Appendix A, response and rebuttal to report issued by Matthew Nodal on January 22nd, 2025. Let me set up the scenario. So Sutton processed the crime scene on November 17th, after officers had already done some processing of their own. And then ISP Idaho State came in and processed the scene further on the 17th. Matthew Nodal is a defense expert and forensics person who came in and disagreed with some of the conclusions that Sutton made on the 17th. And so this contains Sutton's rebuttal to the defense's expert saying what you said was wrong, if that's not confusing enough.
Right.
But I think the shockers will jump right out at you. Here's what I want to show. Nodal, the defense expert, made this comment in relation to Sutton's original report. This stain, as depicted in the Sutton report, is an altered blood stain. The appearance depicted in the image represents what was left of the stain after the initial sampling conducted by Detective Talbot. Detective Talbot had already fucked with that scene and had already sampled the scene and already diluted the blood stain. Sutton said, hey, look, you see a diluted stain, which might be consistent with saliva or mucus from the victim itself that diluted it. And what this forensics expert is saying is, no, the detective diluted that sample. It's not saliva or mucus. We know exactly what it is. It's the detective using water to dilute that sample to take his own test. But it gets worse. Original images of the stain show it to be a small spatter, black and white, numbered placard number 42 of Talbot, the detective Talbot. The sample was then collected, likely with excessive water applied to the swab, altering the original appearance of the stain. Days later, when ISPFS, that's the Idaho Forensics Lab, processed the scene, a yellow sticker, numbered 42, was placed, and after collection, appearance photographed. So a different sticker was placed on the evidence after it had been altered by Talbot. That stain was never DNA tested, and therefore it cannot be attributed to originating from any specific individual. The misidentification of this sample may be associated with the renumbering system employed by Detective Payne. Detective Payne came in and renumbered samples after they messed with the samples. Are you catching this?
Isn't
crazy.
Renumbered samples. What's that?
Isn't that interesting?
It is very interesting, but it continues. So Sutton responds to the defense having a problem with this and said, regarding the alteration of stain 42, my description of 42 was based on its appearance in image 4587. Mr. Nodal had the advantage of seeing the stain in situ. So what does that mean? It means Nodal saw this stain in its original format, and this person who wrote her report saw it after it had already been altered by police. So that's interesting. Nodal saw it in situ. He saw it as it was. In the original stain, if the original stain was in fact collected by excess water, I agree with Mr. Nodal's opinion of it being an altered, spattered stain. So she's saying, I guess you're right. You saw the stain originally. You're telling me it's been altered. If you're right that it's been altered, then I guess you're right. It's been altered. I didn't come to see the scene until after you had already seen it and the cops had already processed it. So she's admitting. And again, regarding the DNA profile of stain 42, I was unaware of the change in the numbering system. So the forensics person's unaware that they've changed the numbering system of evidence. I was unaware of the change in the numbering system as it correlated to the description of the agency number in the ISPFS worksheet described by Mr. Nodal. The misidentification of this sample may be associated with the renumbering system employed by Detective Payne.
And why? Does it give a reason why it was renumbered?
I never saw a reason as to why it was renumbered.
Right.
I never saw a reason to why it was renumbered.
Once again, Joe, the fuckery is real.
It's a colossal level of fuckery.
It's real.
And I don't understand how, as a judge, you look at this shit and you just go along and everything is hunky dory.
As a judge, you should have said.
I mean, you got two different judges who just thought, oh well, you know, who cares if shit gets renumbered or whatever? We're still gonna, you know, I'm still gonna allow the prosecution to pin everything on this one guy.
I have to bring something up because I'm never going to stop alluding to this stuff. If hypothetically Kopacka had some involvement in this, just hypothetically, we've thrown around this idea before.
Mm-hmm.
The feds, the military, specifically the military, have complete dominion over a town,
of course,
a city. This is not even in question. Literally, under national security laws, they have dominion, period. For people who don't know, the CIA can literally walk into a police station where they have a murderer, murder suspect, and literally walk out with
them released. Yeah,
literally. I'm telling you guys. I promise you, I'm not making this up.
In some senses, the FBI can do the same thing too.
Yeah, anything that on the federal level that can be connected to national security in any way, has dominion. So every judge, like, we're all sitting here going, how the fuck is the judge not addressing this? Because if they got the order, if they got their marching orders, they are going to march. Believe me, it's. I know I'm getting fired up about it. I apologize.
Good reason to get up.
Sorry, this kind of stuff gets me really fired up. But so I just want to let people think, because I always say why. Why wouldn't a judge address these things?
Yep.
Why wouldn't good people come forward and go, hold on a second, none of this stuff adds up. I'm not going along with this. Because if the big daddies in the government and the military and intelligence related agencies say, no. We can't let this get out to the public.
Right.
Once you get your marching orders, that's it. All bets are off. Nobody plays the hero when you're talking about that level. They do not, because we all know what happens if you try to play the hero when you're dealing with these levels. And so whether it be the military, whether it be intelligence related, or the university, which is, we're talking about billions of dollars if you connect it to the banking industry. I know I sound like a broken record, but this can't be overlooked, because who else would have the resources and the power to make a case, the real details of a case, completely get washed over and whitewashed? There's only a few things that could accomplish that.
Right. So JJ, I have to say, it sounds like you ordered the code red.
Goddamn right, I ordered the code red.
Yeah.
Thank you, One.
That was good. That was good.
I mean, again, I'm not making any accusations, but many of us wonder why Payne was put in charge. And then now you see Payne, was he the one that discovered the knife sheath? Is Payne the one renumbering evidence at the scene? Is Payne like what? It just, you have to ask all those questions. Is that what happened? Like, why?
If he's in charge though, Lee, why is Dustin Blaker's name on every fucking document that's released and not Payne? Explain that to me.
Good question. Good question.
Fixer.
Thank you, Joe.
He was brought in. We've talked about this. This is nothing new. He was brought in as a fixer, and I got to give credit to Payne. He's very well spoken. He's very calm.
Yeah.
Very, very calm.
Very calm.
And so to me, I can't help but to, my mind can't help but to go to that. I can't avoid what my logic takes me to.
Yeah, and you're not forbidden from talking about it. So I mean, I'm glad that you do. It's you. I always say follow the money, and when you start getting into what you talk about, some of the money angles, you know, you can't ignore that. I want to talk about that table and Xana's blood for a minute. Sutton's report: Xana Kernodle was injured in proximity to this table. That was something that Sutton originally wrote. Xana Kernodle was injured out on the main floor by the ping pong table.
Right.
Nodal had a problem with that. And Nodal's comment is this: as a single drop deposited with potential dilution, it cannot be determined when this drop arrived or what specific mechanism generated it. The Sutton report incorrectly reported that stain F, which is that swipe across the edge of the table, revealed the DNA of Xana Kernodle. However, no record of this stain having been tested for source DNA was located in the provided data. So again, Sutton wrote that's Xana's blood and never tested it. There's no evidence they ever tested that blood. No additional or accompanying bloodstain patterns or transfers from Kernodle are demonstrated in this area. So there's no data to suggest that Kernodle was injured or near this table. So the defense is saying, look, Xana wasn't out in the living room. There's nothing to suggest that other than you saying this smear of blood is Xana's blood, which you didn't even test for Xana's blood. So here's her response. Sutton: the incorrect DNA profile originally attributed to stain F has been corrected in this body of the amended report. The conclusion stating that the finding of Kernodle's blood on the table in the living room was the basis for my conclusion that she had suffered an injury at or near the table. My original reporting of DNA from stain F as being blood from Xana Kernodle was the result of my mistaken belief that the description of a stain as being collected on the second floor study table was an alternative description of what I referred to as the beer pong table in the living room. This error has been corrected, and the conclusion drawn as a result of this error has been deleted. So she was told Xana's blood was on a table. She assumed it was the ping pong table. So she wrote, I discovered that Xana's blood was on the ping pong table. And then they caught her on it, and she's like, oh, my mistake. I just assumed when you said her blood was on a table, it was on the ping pong table. So I've deleted that comment.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Does anybody believe that these people that are professionals at what they fucking do are literally this fucking incompetent, this much and this often?
Man,
all together. They're all together in the same group of people too, you guys.
They
Come
have
on.
no business being there and doing that job. If they can't do it any better than that, that they're just going to take somebody else's word that stain belongs to. How do you know that without testing? I mean, sorry, but they
It's
just, if this
incompetence.
is the level of incompetence, then they have no business being in that job.
Bingo. But the thing I'm trying that I'm really struggling with, Robin, is that it's not just one, it's not just two.
No.
It's a good handfuls of these people all working together with this much incompetency, and I can't process that, you guys. None of these people should be doing this for. I could probably get my grandkids together to have them do a better job than these fucking idiots have done. Excuse my language, but it's ridiculous at this point how much bullshit and fuckery there is.
You know, how dare you guys question the official narrative?
I know. And
I'm offended.
We're idiots
I can't
that don't know how to read.
You guys are questioning the official narrative.
Well, sorry, that's just how we are.
I'm sorry, and I apologize for reacting this way, but hearing this stuff, just like Joe, you apologized earlier. You probably shouldn't, because I shouldn't be doing it either. But we should be angry about stuff like this, okay? Truly, we should be angry. I mean, it can't be just swept under the rug and say, well, they made a mistake. It's okay. Don't do it next time, guys. Okay? I think that's just it happened too much.
Fuckery makes me so angry, man. It just
right,
especially douchebag fuckery.
Yeah,
right. That's the worst kind of fuckery.
That's the one thing that there's only two things on stream that'll really get me fired up. One is when we're obviously looking at fuckery, and the other is people trying to silence people.
Right, for pointing it out. Right?
Yeah.
Right. All right. I agree. And by the way, I was sitting there going, wait a minute, are we getting flagged because of the number of times we say the word effery? You know what? Doesn't matter. We're going to do it anyways.
You know why you're getting flagged, DA.
I know I'm getting flagged. All right, look, I want to point out again, just so you can see it, some of that fight that happens in the document, if you will, about the maybe samples were diluted because the saliva and mucus of the victim itself diluted it. I want to cover that. Sutton report originally wrote, the appearance of stains indicated by the yellow oval in picture 4562 is consistent with diluted blood. Diluted blood is created when blood is mixed with another liquid. The mouth and nose injuries of Xana Kernodle, as noted in the autopsy report, are potential sources of diluted blood. Now, here's the kicker. She did say it's potential sources, but here comes the defense's expert. Nodal said, as occurred with the stains on the third floor, this stain was also diluted through the collection process after it had been documented by Detective Talbot. The original deposit was not diluted and therefore does not fit with a source from any mouth or nose injury to Kernodle. The dilution of this stain is an artificial remnant of sampling. The detective is the one that diluted it, and there is no dilution from the mouth or nose. So her argument is it may have been diluted from the mouth or nose, and he's like, it wasn't diluted at all. When I looked at it, it wasn't diluted at all. It only became diluted when the police came in and diluted the sample. So her response to that is this. Regarding the alteration of the stain, as occurred with the other stain on the third floor, my description of this stain was based on its appearance in an image that she was given. Mr. Nodal, the defense expert, had the advantage of seeing the stain in situ. So he saw it as it was, not as she saw it, which is photographed after they had fucked with it. Mm-hmm. If it is confirmed that the original stain was collected using excess water, then I agree with Mr. Nodal's opinion of it being an altered, spattered stain. Regarding the conclusion that the mouth and nose injuries of Xana Kernodle, as noted in the autopsy report, are potential sources of diluted blood, this statement does not imply a substitute for DNA testing. It is only stated as a potential source and was not intended to exclude other mechanisms. So in other words, she's trying to defend herself. Look, I'm not wrong. It could have been saliva, whatever, but if you're telling me it's water and you can prove it's water, then okay, it's water. I didn't say it was saliva. I just implied it would be consistent with saliva mixing. Mm-hmm. Other evidence demonstrated that only Kernodle and the perpetrator were moving about her bedroom. This statement was meant to imply, to caution the reader, that in this particular instance, an innocuous explanation for diluted blood should be considered in comparison to the dilution of blood discovered in the adjacent living room. By the way, this is important and it's easy to overlook. She made the statement that it was diluted blood and nobody else was in the room except for the assailant and the victim. And holy shit, thank you for their big donation to the channel. I appreciate that so much. Thank you, thank you. So anyways, yeah, that was amazing. I got sidetracked. I saw that. I was like, oh, anyway, sorry. The point being is that Sutton tried to explain, this is important. The diluted blood is important because the only people in that crime scene was the victim and the assailant. But the expert of the defense had to say, au contraire. So was a detective that came in and messed with the sample before you looked at it. Oh, okay, you're right. If a detective was in the scene messing with the sample before I looked at it, then maybe that's another source of it. But you just told everybody the only people in the room was the assailant and the victim. And now we know a cop came in and messed with the sample before you looked at it. So I find those things, the devil's in the details. Those are the things that bother me and are worth mentioning.
And, you know, another thing that would be beneficial to cover up is if, and this is just an aside, if there were drugs involved, and we know Xana had methamphetamine in her system, and did Ethan? I can't remember.
Yes. Ethan had a crap ton in his system.
Yeah, they both did. Yeah.
Okay, so let's just a scenario that's very plausible, in my opinion, just as another plausible scenario is if somebody called somebody to have some rugs delivered, drugs.
Don't do it.
Drugs delivered. Like I'm gonna say rugs.
Pew pew.
Nobody got pew.
If someone came to the house, right, and it was more than one person, because people roll in groups sometimes. They show up late night to do a deal or whatever, or a drop off, and then shit gets out of control. You know, like a lot of times shit can get out of control. Like it's just reality. Like stuff happens. People are high, and when people are high and drunk, stuff gets out of control. And so that's just something that I think is very plausible as a potential, one of the potential things. Now, I'm not speculating as to who the perpetrators were directly related to drugs, but I'm based on rumors and things. We all know the names that have been dropped relating to drugs, right? Who may have been involved in drugs. The other BK, there's rumors about that. There's people that one likes to talk about that were in the area that night that were involved with drugs. So
Oh yeah.
sometimes shit can go sideways with drug related stuff and get really out of control, and people step in, and next thing you know, shit escalates. And if you didn't want that to be out to the public, that would be another reason to change the narrative, because that's something that, again, parents would not want to know about that school, that this is shit that goes on there.
And I want to point. The question was mentioned about drugs, not rugs, but drugs, right? About the levels of amphetamines. I want to point out something. Kaylee and Maddie had. I don't think either one of them had any drugs in their system. They had Kaylee had a blood alcohol of 0.107. Maddie had a blood alcohol of 0.282, so that's a pretty heavy intoxication, and no drugs. Now let's look real quick at the drugs in Xana and Ethan. Xana had a blood alcohol of 0.22, so she's pretty hammered as far as blood alcohol concentration, and amphetamines in her system of 12 nanograms per milliliter. Ethan had much less alcohol, 0.122, but 260 nanograms per milliliter of amphetamines in his system. So he had a lot of, well, now someone pointed out to me, I'm not a biologist, I'm not a chemist.
It's true. The more that is in, as far as amphetamine goes, the less is in, the lesser it is. The more that it shows on the number, the lesser it is.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like the science,
Right.
So the numbers, and also I understand it does with blood pooling and stuff like that too. So when blood pools, it changes the numbers in your concentration.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of factors to be taken in. All I would say to rather than the levels is to say that, look, Kaylee and Xana didn't have amphetamines tested in their system. Xana and Ethan had amphetamines tested in their system.
Yes.
But I have a big issue though with Xana, with the blood alcohol level. So
Yeah.
Not to say, I mean, I've been in contact with plenty of people intoxicated. So has Dago. I'm sure he has numerous. But I just wanted to read something real quick. So because it's important. 0.282 blood alcohol level indicates severe intoxication bordering on alcohol poisoning with extreme impairment of mental, physical, sensory functions, high risk of losing consciousness, memory, blackouts, vomiting, emotional numbness, and a significant danger of fatal respiratory depression or coma requiring immediate medical attention. When it comes to physical, so this is the problem I have at 0.282, severe motor impairment, staggering, difficulty, speaking or standing, nausea, vomiting, impaired pain sensation, potential loss of bladder control. I don't see someone how at that level is fighting. I
do want to really quickly make sure people realize that we're not idiots. So I want to state this. Keep in mind, I am well aware amphetamines can be in cough syrup. Amphetamines doesn't mean they were drug users. We understand that. Amphetamines, there are amphetamines in, like I said, cough syrup to make you feel better, because amphetamines is kind of a feel good kind of thing. It doesn't necessarily mean drugs. So for those who like, I just can almost hear it now in my head. DA, you're a fucking idiot. They could have been having a cold and could have had cough syrup, and that's why they have amphetamines in their system. Well, you're right.
No, they had Adderall. Stop.
They did.
We have to be realistic.
There is,
when I talk about drugs and things like that, I've been around that stuff because of the things that I've done in my life. I played in bands for years. I worked in bars in New York City. I don't pass judgment about it. I'm the one from day one
Yeah.
who's been saying, whoop-de-doo, kids do
Right.
drugs.
Exactly. Yeah.
Big deal. Like, that's,
It's college, for Christ's sakes. They're
Yeah.
supposed to.
there's no
Right.
judgment
There's-
at all.
Yeah.
Right. Right.
But I also
right.
know that shit can get squirrely when people are drunk and doing drugs. So
Right.
when I bring it up, that's why I bring it up. Not because I'm like, grab my
Right.
pearls, you know?
Right. No, yeah, exactly. And that's kind of my point. Like, we're aware, one, there's more than one way to get at amphetamines. Also, but yeah, they tested fentanyl, or they tested amphetamines in a blue powder form in a plastic baggie that was on Ethan. So that. So there's, I mean, that drugs, quote unquote, it's not a drug shaming thing. Again, it's not a drug shaming thing. That's the bottom line.
I'd like what Dago, what is your opinion on that with the .282?
They should have probably been dead.
No, I'm just saying, like, I don't see how she could have been fighting.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about extreme.
I'm gonna say this, okay? I said the same thing when I saw it. I think that when you're in the mode of fighting for your life, granted, you're probably going to be a bit. She was definitely more than likely a bit off because she was drinking. But when somebody starts to come at you with a knife and attacking you,
adrenaline can override some of the
thank you. Yeah, the adrenaline is going to start flowing, which will, in a sense, somewhat probably sober you up a bit. Now, I'll probably tell you that her motor skills were probably still off, and she was.
That's
probably,
what I'm saying. Yeah.
So in turn, that could be the reason why she did end up losing her life, because she wasn't able to be her full self at that point. And maybe, if she wasn't. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you. I was scared that we were going to get another 3 people watching and we were going to have 666 viewers and I was going to shit myself, but that's okay. We're sorry. I didn't mean to digest to interrupt you.
No, you're good. I thought I said something wrong. My apologies.
No. I just totally derailed you.
It's okay. But like I said, I'm sure that her motor skills were off. I'm sure that she was not at her best. Now, if she hadn't been drinking, hadn't had that much alcohol in her system, maybe she would have been able to defend herself more. But I do agree with you, though, that
it's just very high. I
mean, that's what I'm saying. That would have, in a lot of senses, depending on the weight of the person, thrown them into alcohol poisoning, possibly thrown them into a coma, per se. That's a pretty high level.
Yeah.
And I even wondered at that extent, did she actually drink that much, or was she forced to drink that much?
Right.
That's a problem I've had when I saw that number right away. I knew they were drinking that night.
Right.
But then take that amount of alcohol that they purposely wanted to ingest, and it makes me wonder, did these people sit them down, threaten them, and force feed them alcohol to prove a point, to be part of their thing, and then boom. You know what I mean?
And I also want to address this person that, by the way, thank you again for the donation to the channel and talking about JJ and why the house was torn down. I do want to make a point about it real quick. I also think I still think part of the reason why the house was demolished was because they were afraid an alternative suspect was going to come forward and they were going to go back and retest that house for something that got missed, a nook or a cranny or whatever. And tearing the house down was the only way to make sure no other DNA ever got discovered in that house. So they didn't want anybody coming out there and going, wait a minute, did you test for so-and-so's blood? Oh, I guess we'll go back and look. No, there's no chance to go back and look because they tore the whole fucking house down. So, it is.
And I wanted to add something that's come up a lot in this case. And people may not want to hear it, but it's dealing with factual reality. Even a tough athletic woman, I'm playing devil's advocates with ourselves. People I don't think Brian Koberger could do that to, whatever, they'd kick his ass. That may be true because he doesn't appear like an athletic guy. But a man in general, even a man that's not very athletic, is going to be, especially if they're on drugs or amped up, is going to be much stronger than and much more agile than an intoxicated person.
Definitely.
Because that's a key factor. Like if people were, partying and they're even mildly intoxicated, it makes a big difference.
Mhm.
So you wouldn't have to be a world-class athlete to be able to hurt people that are really intoxicated, especially if
Right.
you were jacked up on something. You know what I mean? Like, so
And that
so that's just something that's just reality. Like if you have a bunch of intoxicated young people and everybody's like, Ethan's a big dude and all that, yes, he is. But if he's intoxicated, and it doesn't take that much to get the upper hand on somebody that's intoxicated.
Right.
Right. And the thing is, though, too, like this comment here, we don't, there's still so much vagueness around where Ethan and Xana were. And no one that has been interviewed that mentioned Xana and Ethan said anything about Xana being plastered off her ass. I mean, because at that level, Ethan would have had to have been helping her walk, or she'd have been. I mean, but no one has said that she was that intoxicated. So
Right.
there's still so much vagueness around that. So yeah, to your point, Dago, when did she ingest that much alcohol?
Exactly. The only person that ever came out for during the reports of interviews with their friends and people around them was about Maddie. Multiple people stated, I've
Right.
never seen Maddie that drunk before. Maddie seemed really drunk that night. I've never seen her like that. I
Mhm.
was really surprised at how drunk Maddie seemed that night. Blah, blah, blah. Repeatedly, people were saying that. So, okay. And again, I still go back to, was there somebody that was feeding them something, buying them drinks all damn night on purpose, giving them shots of stuff all night long on purpose? Were they trying to get these kids trashed for a reason? And
Right.
was it, I'm not saying that it was this plan, guys, but at the same time I am.
Yeah,
I
it could be. It definitely could
the
be.
people were following them around all night,
Yeah.
night watching them,
Yeah.
and if they were at the bar, here, have another shot. Here's another shot. Here's another shot.
right.
And you
Right.
get them
But-
smacked, and then you follow them home, and they're not going to be able to defend themselves as well. And boom, okay,
Right. But according to Mabit, it wasn't important, these types of tests. They were
Right.
not important to the case.
he's also the same.
Shit my
Right.
ass.
Yes,
Ah,
exactly.
yeah.
Well,
you don't
one
even
thing
you don't even
about-
have to interview them. You don't even have to interview these people.
She's also the same woman that lied about the time she went into the house, okay, and said she went in
Right.
at 5 o'clock, and the woman didn't even get to the inside the house till way past 8:30, 9 o'clock that night. Okay,
One thing about with alcohol and stuff, first of all, Kaylee, I suspect, weighed more than Maddie.
a little bit, yeah.
Okay, so they could have drank the same amount, and then Maddie would have had a much higher
Yes,
BAC.
yes,
Another thing too is people that party a lot. You guys, I know you guys
their
know
tolerance.
this, but
Yeah,
yes, they have a higher tolerance. They could
Right.
have a higher blood alcohol content, and they could be wasted,
true.
but not be on death's door if they're
Yeah,
used to
but
drinking a
that's
lot.
that's such a crazy level.
I was
though.
that guy.
Yeah.
I was that guy.
No, I agree. That's
It's
really
a
high
crazy level.
from-
Yeah.
from Maddie.
Yeah, especially for someone Xana's size. She weighed what, maybe 120 pounds?
Yeah,
Right,
it's a
right.
crazy level, crazy level. But I see in the chat people are saying if she was also taking, if it was Adderall and whatever, that can
Yes.
change the effects of it too. So it
Also,
that
if you
definitely
do
is true.
If you do this every weekend, your body
Right.
gets used to that after a while.
Right.
Right.
going
And,
back
and,
to what
and to
Joe
be fair, is while we're talking about it, to be fair, I don't think we are basing our opinion about what could or couldn't have happened that night based on subjective ideas about who or who can't hold their liquor or their
Right.
alcohol or whatever. Like
No.
that's not what we're trying to do. Like I don't want to feel like I don't want people to get the mistaken idea that we're trying to say it couldn't have happened the way it did because they were too hammered or not
No.
hammered or not for whatever. That's not even part of the whole.
We're just
We're just-
breaking down all the angles and the options that are involved with this whole story, guys. That's what we do all the time. So
Right.
Yeah, and I only mentioned that about Maddie and Kaylee simply because they could have literally drank the exact same amount,
Right.
and then their blood alcohol levels would be different. you know.
Right,
So,
right. I mean, it has to do with your own body size and composition and blood in the system and all that stuff because it's a function of all of that. So, yeah.
Agreed.
Well, shit, another night. We're all talking about Idaho 4 and the colossal fuckery that is going on in the case. At least it feels like it. It still feels like it. And again, I just there's a part of me that's like, okay, well, if the families would come out and just talk about what they know, kind of these, and let me back that up. Let me word it this way. I've said this before and I'll say this again. If it was just an incel that killed 4 people in a random act of violence kind of thing or whatever, then there is no reason for not just showing us your work. When I was in school, I couldn't just give a teacher my answer. I had to show my work. Why? Because they don't know how you got to that conclusion. Just saying, hey, it's Brian Koberger, trust us, we don't have to show our work. Show the fucking work. If it is what you say it is, there's no harm in showing everybody at this point. It's ridiculous. It's
The perfect example.
Yeah.
Perfect example, Lee. Elliot Rogers. Elliot Rogers was 1,001% an incel. He killed multiple people. They didn't hide anything in his case. It was bing, bang, boom, cut and dry, black and white, done. It's over.
Yeah.
They didn't hide
There it
anything in that case, guys. That is exactly what they're saying that this case is. They've even attributed it to the same thing.
Right.
Why are they hiding everything with this, but they didn't with that? Same shit.
And another thing, the incel theory, in my opinion, is null and void because there's a few reasons, but the big reason is in most of those cases, they kill themselves.
Yeah, a lot of them do. Yeah.
Murder, suicide.
Mhm.
So, and in fact, with many mass shooters, and that does happen. But also, it's like there's no evidence. There's no actual evidence that he was an actual incel, right?
No.
I mean,
No.
In fact,
our buddy,
evidence kept getting
no,
presented
yeah.
that was opposite. He had
Right.
girls that liked
Yeah.
him.
He had
He
girls
went
that
on date. Right. He went on
yeah, he
dates.
approached girls
Yeah.
at a
He got
party and
phone
got their
numbers.
phone numbers. That's not indicative of an incel.
No.
No, and Willie
it's not.
Willie proved Casey Arnst was his girlfriend basically for all purposes. They were always together throughout high school, after high school, during high. I mean, they were friends. They were boyfriend, girlfriend, blah 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 blah. We proved that already. Like you just said, Joe, the 2 girls at the pool party. The dude had enough balls to sit down between the 2 of them, knowing one was in a relationship and still keep going. That's not an incel. Okay, not even close. Okay, and so that's ridiculous. That shit pisses me off so bad.
Yeah. And it dawned on me, like, sometimes we forget, like, not everybody even knows what the term incel means. It's kind of a common modern coinage of involuntarily celibate. It's basically saying you're such a loser that you can't get laid, so you're involuntarily celibate. And then the idea is that because you can't get laid, you get angry and hate all people that because they don't find you attractive, and therefore you have to kill somebody because but that's the term incel, is the idea, involuntary celibate. So for those who, I mean, I know that it's kind of common, but some people in the chat were trying to figure out what it actually meant, and it dawns on me not everybody knows what all these terms mean. But it's just like I said,
I see, Amanda, you're mentioning Dexter. Yeah, we could use Dexter here, a blood specialist.
I missed the early seasons of Dexter, but anyways,
I miss Dexter, period. I love that show.
Yeah. Well, I think I'm kind of spent. I'd like to take a break. I've been looking at crime scene photos and reading morbid descriptions of the deaths and analyzing what that means and about the fuckery of changing numbers of evidence and stuff like that. I'm kind of burnt myself, so I'm gonna try to encourage us all to call it an evening and move on to something different, to take a break. As my normal thing would be, first of all, I want to thank all of the gifters. We had gifters in the house tonight gifting money to the show and helping out. We seem to be getting quite a bit of new people on board who are enjoying what we're doing. We get lots of praise about the channel and things like this. And so thank you so much for all the new people that are new to our show. We do talk about things, by the way. I swear we do talk about cases other than Idaho 4. But it's, this is the result of something being gagged for 3 years, and they keep dumping a massive amount of stuff on the public. And we have to now look at it for the first time. That's what's making this case stay around so long is we're getting to look at the evidence for the first time after 3 years.
I honestly think, though, Lee, that everybody's here because we talk about Idaho 4.
That's true. That's true. It is.
Truly. I mean,
Yeah.
that's at least my opinion.
Yeah.
I mean, if
All right,
people
so
are still believing the official narrative now, guys, I don't know what to tell you, man. I mean, it's like it's okay to admit you were wrong. It's okay. Like people get invested in something and whatever, that's fine. But when you have to be open to changing your mind.
Yep.
I had this comment, and I'm glad that I don't remember the user's name. I had this comment today. DA, I like your show, and you give me a lot of things to think about, but I can't get over the fact that the guy pled guilty. You just don't plead guilty to something you didn't do. So I don't know how to get around that. And I'm like,
it happens every day.
Right.
It happens every day.
Yeah.
Why don't people not understand that? Somebody please explain that to me somehow. Like, unless you just don't understand it, like you don't understand the law. It happens.
There you go. People like neatly packaged things.
Yep.
There's a lot of people, and we are not we are collectively not that type of person.
Right.
And so I understand it. There's actual psychological theories that explain it. Some people like things neatly packaged because it's scary to people to accept some of the, crazy ebbs and flows, the way things work, because it's threatening. And I'm not insulting anybody. I'm not saying this to insult anybody.
Go look at the statistics, people. For those of you that believe that I can't get past he pled guilty, that just doesn't happen. Go look at the nationwide statistics on how often that happens as compared to people pleading guilty to something they actually did. They're way higher, folks. I swear to God they are. Go look at it.
Yeah, most people deny that they did things to their grave, even if they did do it. Much less in comparison to the opposite, which they're confessing to stuff they didn't do. But yeah,
it's insane. I'm sorry, but that blows my mind that you guys, especially people that are in the true crime genre, that follow these communities, that go to these channels that cover all the cases we've all covered, folks. You got to know things about crime to be in the true crime communities. I'm just saying, at least little things like that,
Yeah, and real quick to emphasize this, and then we'll close out. It's true. People inherently don't want to believe that innocent people go to jail for things that they didn't do, and so it bothers the psyche. Like there's a level where people feel that it has to be true that they're guilty because they don't like the idea. It sits wrong with them that somebody could be in jail for something they didn't do, and so it's just hard to accept. I get that. All right, let's do this. Let's close. Robin, 1-1, JJ, and then Dago. So Robin, what are your thoughts for closing for tonight?
Well, like DA said, I want to thank the people who donated to the channel. We have Mariac donated twice tonight, and also we had Dana Linda. Wow, you guys are generous beyond belief, and so thank you very much. But we can't stop pushing. It's frustrating. So frustrating, but this is exactly why we have to keep going and keep doing what we're doing. And thank you to each and every one of you for coming out. Thank you for liking the videos, sharing the videos, commenting on the videos afterwards. All of this, the donations are great, but all these other things really help us because we need to keep furthering our message. It's too important to stop now. These documents, just this document alone tonight, proves why we can't let up. But thank you guys so much for coming out. Thank you to each of the people here on the panel. Love you guys to death, and all you guys out there, the denizens, the meatballs, our minions, and the blue crew. So just it's awesome just being a part of this, and just thank you guys so much.
Thank you. Thank you for being a part of the panel and for working with me side by side to get this thing to be better all the time. So appreciate everything that you do for the channel, and you do a lot of stuff behind the scenes people don't see. So Robin deserves a lot of credit for stuff that you don't even know that she does. So thank you so much for that. 1-1, what do you got to say?
Thanks everyone for coming out. Great discussion as always. Meatballs, denizens, JJ, Robin, Dago, Lee, great as always. We will be here tomorrow night. Well, I'll be here unless I lose power in this giant snowstorm that we're supposed to get. So make sure you're safe out there. And I'm here to kick ass and chew bubblegum. And I'm all out of bubblegum. Thank you.
Well said. Well said. Yeah, thank you very much. All right, JJ, what do you got?
Oh, dude, why'd you have to say that right before? Oh, God. Well, thank you to everybody. DA, Robin, 1-1, and Dago. I really appreciate everybody. The denizens, the meatballs, and all the mods. Once again, I really appreciate everybody. I just feel like we're doing the right thing, man. You know, you can't worry about being the bad guy when you're speaking what you truly believe. I think that sometimes it bothers me too to be saying things that might be upsetting to some people. But to me, I think it's more important to be at least sincerely seeking for the truth. Like, I don't give a shit about being popular. I don't care about people agreeing with me. I believe that you really have to, if you're really being sincere about what you believe, then it can't be wrong. You can be proven wrong and you have to be able to accept it. But I think you have to still seek the truth, even if it may be unpopular to do it. So thanks again to everybody. I appreciate it. And we'll be back tomorrow.
Yeah.
Talking about the Kurt
Tomorrow
Cobain
is
case.
Kurt Cobain.
And I have
awesome.
I pulled out my Kurt Cobain journal book that I have.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So there's some interesting stuff in there we might want to touch on tomorrow as well.
Very cool. Very cool. All right, Dago, you get to say, well, next to last words. I say the last words, I guess, but you get to say next to last words. What do you got?
I just want to thank everybody for having me here, for welcoming me, even the people that don't acknowledge me. I appreciate you very much, all of you. I think it was another amazing conversation. As always, I look forward to this every day. This is the highlight of my day. To be able to sit and have these awesome discussions with you guys. They truly do round out my day. Even though I don't sleep, they do help me not sleep as much. I love that. Very, very much so. And I love the comments. You guys are just truly amazing, and I appreciate every single one of you. I no longer, if you haven't noticed, separate the communities, because in my opinion, it's one big family now. I'm very happy with this. And don't forget, folks, tomorrow to tune in for another episode of what really happened with Kurt Cobain. I'm looking forward to that as well. And have a wonderful rest of your night, folks. Be careful, be safe, stay warm, and God bless.
All right, everybody. And when I said thanks to all the panelists, we have a bunch of unsung heroes on both sides, in Dago's community and my community, that do so much for both of our channels and the combined effort. We can't even honestly list all the names, but there are many unsung heroes that are doing shit behind the scenes as well. So thank you all to the community that supports this, the donations like the one that came in just now. All of those things help keep the wheels turning and keep my wife off my ass to say, you need to go get a real job. So that's always a good thing. Again, we're not getting rich. I'll tell you that. Nobody's getting rich on either one of our channels, but it does at least give a little bit less pressure of you need to go get a real job kind of conversation. So I appreciate that very, very much. Tomorrow night, I get to try to hope to see my Seattle Seahawks win the NFC Championship and move on to the Super Bowl. If it doesn't happen, I'll be crying for a few days, but I will be back on Monday, even if I'm crying. We'll do that. But the point being is that go Seahawks. Anyone out there in the NFL land, good luck to your team, unless it's the Rams. Otherwise, we'll see you guys later and have a great evening. And good luck on your show tomorrow with the Kurt Cobain stuff. It sounds exciting. I get to take the night off and watch my football game while you guys do some work. Oh, that's amazing. Thank you so much. Have a good evening.
Have a great night, guys.
Good night, everybody.